Last time, we saw Jesus pushed out of his hometown. The people of Nazareth grew up with him as a neighbor, and they couldn't see anything past the carpenter's son they remembered. He leaves the hills behind, traveling down to the lower elevations of the Sea of Galilee, moving his base to the water's edge. He settles in Capernaum. It's a massive change from quiet Nazareth. This is a thriving, salty, busy town built on a massive local fishing trade. Curious town. This move brings a new level of tension. With the sting of that first rejection fresh, the question is how this busy port town will react. Will they see a tradesman, or will they recognize his identity? On the Sabbath, Jesus enters the local synagogue. These stone walls were the center of the town's public and intellectual life. In the first century, religious teaching followed a predictable pattern. A scribe would stand up and quote older historical experts to validate every point they made. Jesus breaks that pattern. He reads from the scriptures, but he doesn't lean on secondary sources to back up his claims. He speaks with the ownership of the author, explaining the law directly, as if the words belong to him. The crowd is left breathless. They've spent their lives listening to scholars debate the law, but here they are listening to someone who speaks with first-hand command. It is a level of leadership the town simply hasn't seen before. The focus of the teaching is suddenly shattered. A man possessed by a demon stands up in the middle of the room and begins to scream. The demon doesn't ask for his identity, it shouts it. It calls him the Holy One of God. Ancient exorcisms were usually long, complex rituals. Jesus ignores all of that. He delivers a calm, two-word command. Be quiet, come out of him. The scene shifts from the public synagogue to a private home. Jesus walks through the narrow streets of the city and enters the cramped stone courtyard of Simon Peter. Inside, Peter's mother-in-law is suffering from a high fever. In a world without modern medicine, a fever like this was a potential death sentence. Jesus goes to her, takes her hand, and helps her up. The fever vanishes instantly. She doesn't need a period of recovery. She immediately begins to serve them a meal. He cures the sickness, and in the same moment restores her directly to her purpose in the home. It is a demonstration of power that is as practical as it is total. Word of these events spreads through every street. The citizens wait for the sun to set, marking the end of the Sabbath, and the moment they are legally allowed to travel and carry the sick. As the sky turns dark, the entire population of Capernaum converges on Peter's front door. It becomes a massive, back-to-back sequence of healings. The blind, the paralyzed, and the sick are brought in by the dozens, and Jesus touches every one of them. Imagine the atmosphere. Flickering torches, the smell of the sea breeze, and the sounds of physical pain turning into shouts of relief. By staying up late into the night to reach every person, he proves his authority over the city's suffering. He effectively pushes back the weight of a town's pain in a single evening. The next morning brings a sharp contrast. Long before sunrise, Jesus leaves the noisy city behind for the complete silence of a lonely hillside. Instead of capitalizing on his new fame by setting up a permanent clinic, he slips away alone to pray. The disciples are frantic when they finally find him. They tell him everyone is looking for him, urging him to return and continue the success they found in Capernaum. He refuses. He tells them they are moving on to the nearby villages so he can preach there as well. Here we see authority over his own schedule and success. He isn't controlled by the expectations of the crowd or his own rising popularity. He knows his purpose goes far beyond one town, and he refuses to let local stardom derail a global mission. But this power is about to be tested. Next time, we watch this authority encounter someone who shouldn't even be allowed in the city, a leper with a desperate request. We'll see you in episode 10.